Welcome to Custom Home Builder Solutions, also known as CHS, a job costing, full accounting, and profit management software for the professional home builder. This video will be a continuation of a previous video. This is part 2 about financial budgets and how you can set those up. This is different than setting up budgets for jobs. This is for your things like office supplies for a year or telephone expense for a year, how much you might think you're going to have in sales for a year, and cost of sales. And you can set up a budget for those that you can then compare to your profit and loss statements as you go along through the year to see how well you're doing compared to your budget. We, in the previous video on the Home tab, we clicked the button for Financial Budgets over here under Accounting Setup, and this menu opened. And then we did a little bit of work for a budget for the year 2002. And you can see we didn't do very many budget lines. You can watch that video to see how to keep adding budget lines. You would, of course, probably have a lot more that you're budgeting for sales if you're a custom home builder. We just have one job, and we were budgeting, recognizing that through percentage of completion, a little bit of that revenue earned each month, etc., and sort of budgeting for that, what we thought it would be. Then we did a little bit of looking at advertising newspapers and decided we were paying an additional amount every quarter for some ad we have in a newspaper, so we budgeted. We did the budget work. I'm going to double click on this line so you can see the screen we were using again for that to fill in the amounts. We first filled in all the 220, and that we were telling it which department that might be in, because you can produce these for a particular department. We're going to see that in a minute to see how well one department is doing compared to the budget for that department. But you'll see if I did another one, let's just do one real quick just so we have that to demonstrate. That 6310 is what we use for newspapers. Let's say we're going to do something with this property management to advertise it, and let's just say that's going to cost us $75 a month, because I just want to do this quickly. I don't think you'd be advertising this every single month, but let's just do that. We're just using this as an example. Now notice that we have two lines under the 6310 that are totaling together. They're showing up as a minus amount here because they're expenses, and I reverse them accounting wise so that they would display better to give you the net that you're expecting. So we now have a line for this other department, and we could ask for a comparison for just that department. We have our sales and cost of sales in the custom homes department. We were doing some things to our overhead department in the previous video, and we took a look at these reports. So I'll jump on to where I want to be. I want to point out something. Earlier in the previous video, I opened this monthly activity spread, and then I did a search for the year 2002 and just my income statement financial sections. I've already done the search, so I won't do that again. And I talked about how we only have data in here for like 6 months in our demo data, so it's not real reasonable, and how you could average those. The one thing I wanted to point out is these underlined amounts right here. You can drill down on them if you happen to be using this worksheet to help you do your budget. So I just drilled down to see what that was for that month of March, what that total was made up of. So if you're wanting to do it that way instead of the report that I printed that's grouped by months, you could also drill down and look at your detail for that month. These are your actual costs that you've posted. These are things, actual numbers that you've posted into your accounting records is what's showing here on the monthly spread. And on this general ledger report, it's your entries that you've actually made. These aren't budgeted entries that we were looking at to review and to decide what to budget for. But I will keep this as short as I can. I'd like to show you now that we can compare our budget to what our profit and loss is for the year. And as you saw, we're kind of doing we were budgeting for the year 2002 after it's already started 6 months in, and we didn't do all of our budget lines. So there would be a bunch of stuff that we posted stuff for that we haven't entered a budget for. But I'd just like you to see what this report does. This is for the year 2002. It shows we budgeted $440,000. So far we've put in $249, and we have only put in 6 months worth, so there's a difference for the whole year still going on right now where we're under what we budgeted for. We did a little bit for advertising newspapers, and you'll see that what we have is the actual, which is basically our income statement for the year so far, our actual versus our budget going on, and that we'll come down here and we'll see the net difference. So far we budgeted to have 80,000. So far we're just showing 792 net for the year. That's because we do have a whole lot more posted to actual for expenses, because we haven't posted a budget for these things yet, and these might have some for further months than June that we were doing for our sales. So it's not a good comparison because this isn't a real set of books, but you can see what this report does and what it shows you. Then you can do one that's for those departments I was talking about. If I just ask, and we only did 2 lines for the custom homes, but if I do a budget comparison report for the year, it's showing just for that custom homes department, and you'll see a filter here that the department is CH to CH. And it's only showing that, and only showing actual entries that have used that CH department when those were posted to our books. I can get a report also spread by month just for that department. And if we zoom in here a little bit, you can see those budget lines that we did for the custom homes, and then you can see that we didn't do any budget lines for warranty and for these things that did have some actual lines activity, but it's showing them by month how much over or under they are on a spreadsheet for this department. If I was interested in doing all of this for all the departments, I would click the first department here, the last department here, so that I'd get a budget comparison of every single department that we have. And so this one spread by months is really breaking it down for you. This is the custom homes overhead, and I think it was our advertising newspapers on down here somewhere that we did a couple of different budgets, one for overhead and one for property management. And you can see the budget amount, and you can see the budget and the actual amounts going on here. So that's pretty interesting. You can just see that, you know, we have the first few months of the year we've made some entries, but the rest of the year we haven't. And up here you can see that for sales, we've actually posted some entries through the month of June, but we have not posted any for these 6 months. So this is a pretty neat thing to be looking at for where you are at with your budget. The rest of these reports here on the menu are for each month. So if I do January, it's just a report just for the month of January, 42,000. The actual amount was 21. We were under by 20. Here's this is the month budget, the month's actual budget, and year to date. So that'd be just, in January, of course, it'd be the same numbers across here and year to date, and showing you just that and year to date. So that's pretty handy as you progress through the year. Let's do one for February. So now you'll see that here's the month's budget for February, the month's actual sales, how much under we were, the year-to-date budget, the year-to-date actual, and that we're under by 43,000 for sales. And the net of those, the year-to-date difference is, we budgeted that our cost of sales would be 33, but really it was only 14. So really, in a way, we're coming out a little bit better there than what we thought. We didn't put as much to cost of sales. So you can get down to the bottom line here, and let's play like we had budgets in for all this, but we don't have budgets in for all that. So these numbers are a little bit meaningless, but you can see as far as our demo company, but you can see how for your own company you would see your budget numbers. You would see that for just the month of February here, what your year-to-date, which means that's through February 28th, etc. And basically, really, if you did December and looked at your year-to-date numbers and went down to the bottom, year-to-date budget would be net profit and loss 80,044 and minus 79. That's the year-to-date. I mean, if you looked at December. I did look at December, right? Yeah. Then if you looked at for the year, you'd see those similar numbers because that year to date is all the way through to the end of December. So the whole entire year, which is just doing all departments for the whole year, would end up being the same as far as the year-to-date stuff on the December statement. The other thing I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I might have mentioned in the first video, is that once I finished all my 2002 budget and I threw it the year, I might want to copy that budget for the next year and start with that budget and then just make changes on it as I like. So I could say I want to copy the year 2002 to the year 2003, copy the budget records. Then I could just select 2003 here, open the budget worksheet, and we'd have a lot of our budget lines already set up for us, so we could just edit those as needed to set up our financial budget for the year 2003. That's interesting. That's over 10 years ago, but I haven't really wanted to sit down and just enter a whole bunch of data again, so I keep using these old dates. Anyway, I hope that gives you a pretty good idea of how you can do your financial budgets and compare them to your current profit and loss and see where you stand. Thank you for watching.